right, here we go. We're going live. Hello, hello. Hey, 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 hey.
Hi.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody. We're excited to be here on Wednesday.
Yes, we have a new date, y'all. A new evening, a new day on Wednesdays, a new time. So glad to be here on Wednesdays. You all start popping in. Look, we even have new cups. Oh my gosh, we're just doing the new thing all of a sudden right now. So, that was just because Demi got tired of me probably holding all those different cups up. So I was like, okay, we got to fix that. Listen, last week we started a series, and the series is talking about stop dating from an old playbook and start dating differently. And so that spun a whole bunch of questions like, well, how do you date from a new playbook? Or what am I doing wrong in the old playbook? And it was really just way too much to talk about in one session, one night, podcast. So we decided to make this a full series. So that is what we're going to be talking about all this month. And so tonight, we are super excited to say stop locking in too fast. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. So share, share, share. Get your friends on. Put this out there. Let everybody know all the amazing things that's happening. Say hello to us. We want to know who's watching. I'm Dr. Conti, and coming up is my beautiful co-host Demi. So Demi, why do people lock in so fast?
Wow. I appreciate it. Thank you. Locking in too fast really happens when you attach before verification, which basically just means before exclusivity, before that conversation, which should happen around 3 months or so. Maybe you have pressure from family, maybe you have pressure from friends, or just from society in general. You may confuse attention with intention. So
Mhm.
somebody's really consistent, they're affectionate, but your values don't align.
Mhm.
You can mistake consistency with compatibility. So maybe they are pursuing you and respectful and it's steady, but you simply don't have or don't feel that romantic type of connection.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
lastly, I mean, sometimes we're just afraid to lose someone.
Yeah.
Barely know. Not maybe sometimes some of us don't have many suitors or people of substance. So the first time that somebody comes around that's normal, that's nice, and
Mhm.
you and I have
Mhm.
talked about that
Mhm.
before,
Yep.
you're nice.
He's
Um,
normal.
telling yourself, you're not getting any younger, the person is really nice. And then you're basically being pushed to create something that's not real. So I'm going to tell everybody, that we're here for the empty nesters. We know that we're here for those that have been in long term marriages and now you're divorced,
Mhm.
maybe people that have been in your jobs or careers for a long time and you're ready to start dating again. I want you to get your pen and paper out. I'm old school, or get ready to take some notes because you
Mhm.
don't want to miss this tea. And we all know a goal without a plan is just a wish.
Mhm.
So tell us, Conti, where do I start? If I haven't been on a date or before I go on a date and it's been a long time, what do I start with?
Well, good question. Good question. Before going on a date, it's very, very important. So, one of the things that I teach is that there needs to be a strategy. So, in the relationship labs, there is a 5 step strategy. First of all, your desires. What is it that you desire in a partner? I've asked people, Demi, give me 10 desires that you desire in a partner, and they're not even able to come up with what it is that you want. And so, if you haven't identified what you want, you can't get what you don't know you desire. So you have to see it before you can be it. So the step strategy is the desires, the standards, the boundaries, vetting, and then being patient. And we're going to talk about, excuse me, the desires, the standards, the boundaries, the non-negotiables, and vetting. Okay. And then after that, just being patient. So we're going to talk about all of those a little bit today. You're going to go in on some standards, but you need to know, what are your non-negotiables? What is it that you absolutely do not want in a partner? And a lot of times, particularly if you've had a bad relationship, a lot of times people can tell me what they don't want before they can tell me what they want. And so we let's discuss some non-negotiables. So you may decide, this is everybody's own desires. It's just your own preference. I'm just giving out some examples. You may be someone who don't like smoking. You may it may cause you to cough, or you may be allergic to smoke. A non-negotiable would be a smoker. I don't care what he looks like, she looks like. I don't need, me, not me, because I don't like smoke, but this is not me. I'm just giving examples. You should be able to say, I don't need somebody that smokes. Or it could be somebody that is emotionally unstable. Emotionally unstable. You don't want to be around someone that's a non-negotiable. A lot of times people say stuff like, I need to have someone who's a consistent communicator. Well, that's a standard. That's something that you a desire, but it's not a deal breaker. It's not a non-negotiable. So I usually ask people to list at least 3 non-negotiables that you know. They disrespect your boundaries.
Yeah.
I don't know, but we have to identify those things ahead of time.
And I'll throw in one, because we talk about this all the time. I'm not a pet lover.
Yes, so that would be a non-negotiable.
It's non-negotiable.
And I'm praying for somebody that loves pets, because we can have 4 or 5 of them over here, be fine with me. But you have to know that. You have to know what you desire. A non-negotiable for me would be not legally divorced. Most people, oh, we're separated, or, well, that's a non-negotiable for me. Not only do you need to be divorced, you need to be divorced and separated for about 2 years, because we teach that it needs to be a period of time there between a divorce and a person. That's, a lot of things are different with widows, and we do talk and teach in widowers, so that's a different little standard. But all of those things are important, understanding and identifying those things. And then the deal breakers, someone who you already see they are belittling you, or having some type of disrespectful behavior. They are unable to manage their addictions. They got some strong addiction, and you see these things ahead of time, because as you all know, Demi and I often say dating is data. You are gathering data when you're dating. You're not moving too fast and falling in love. I always say we have 2 eyes, 2 ears, and 1 mouth for a reason. Listen closely, watch even closer, and close your mouth and not talk, so that you'll be able to gather all this data. So deal breakers would be disrespectful behaviors, still entangled with an ex. These are deal breakers. These are no-goes. Right. And so then, Demi, we know we have standards. People sometimes get standards versus expectations mixed up, right?
They do. They do. So, I'm going to break it down, and I co-sign on that, what you just said. But let me just break this down, because expectations are often disguised as standards. And so I want some of you all, I see we have a lot that are with us tonight live. So go ahead and drop some standards in the chat. And I want you all to come a little.
Yeah, real quick. Also, if you know your non-negotiables, drop a non-negotiable in the chat.
Do go for that. But as you're doing that, I want to remind you that standards are core values and lifestyle alignments. And so I want you to come closer. I always say come closer so you can hear me. They reflect safety, stability, and the character of some. So let me repeat that. Your standards reflect the safety, stability, and character. And so I want you to drop them in. So let me share with you some examples of what standards are. So at our big grown age, we want people to be self-sufficient, right? Self-sufficient. But if you're comparing that to what an expectation is, oftentimes we'll say, well, they need to make six figures, or they need to be on this specific type of job, or have this specific profession. That's an expectation, but that's not a standard.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I always say 6 feet, six figures, and a six pack. That's a desire, not a standard.
Not a standard, not a standard. Or let's talk about, you want someone, we live in a big city and it's, not easy to get around without transportation. So you want someone to have reliable transportation. A stand or that would be a standard. An expectation would be the type of transportation they have. So some of us say we want them to drive a particular car. We want them to drive, and I'm not going to even start because I don't know cars well. We want them to drive a Range Rover or a big body Benz or a BMW. That's an expectation. That's an expectation. And then lastly, for those who believe in God or faith really matters to you, it would be a standard. But an expectation would be, do they practice the same religious events,
beliefs?
Are they in church every week with me? Are they at Bible study? Maybe they're a believer, but they don't go and do that. And so I will just say, put a thumb up if you're clear between what a standard is and what an expectation is. And remember that expectations protect your ego, but standards protect your peace.
So we do have some great comments here. Must be a true believer, evidence by their lifestyle. Yes, not just, and that's good. That goes back to me saying watching and listening. And because people can say a lot, and that's what we're talking about today, why you don't move so fast. That is exactly what we're here saying. Stop moving so fast, because people will say a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, I'm a believer. And a lot of times we say things. I used to tease people and say, you told him you like the color green, you like pets, you like church. Now he said, oh, I go to church every Sunday. I got $3. I wear green every day. It's like you're giving them blueprint.
Look, what we say, you just gave him the blueprint, right?
Yeah, you just gave him the blueprint. And so sometimes, you have to just watch and see and make sure that their character lines up. And so that's another thing. We know the character traits to observe for. And that's a good thing that she said that she said she wanted to make sure that this person, they're not just talking the talk, but they're walking the talk. So watch how people behave, not just what they speak. That was right on time with what we're talking about.
And I love Trish just said a stable living environment. Yes. Absolutely. That can be a standard. But let's go back to what an expectation is. We want them to live in a 4,000 or 5,000 square foot home.
Right. That's the difference. And a lot of times we're missing out, and we will move too fast because of something like that. And because of not having these things outlined ahead of time. That's why you can't wait until you meet someone and decide, okay, because maybe is that one of my standards? I don't know what my standard is. Well, he sure got that 6-pack, 6 feet and 6 figures. So then all of your standards, what, like Demi said, what's valuable to you goes out of the window, So making sure that you're watching, how did this person handle stress? Yeah. We talked about this last week. I was saying someone that I sent a little text to, because I'm watching how you handle stress, and you're blowing up all the time. No emotional regulation. Right. You have to be mindful of those things. Do they expect you to apologize for things that you're not even wrong for? Yeah. Are they showing signs that they want to make you feel guilty for stuff? Are they, or do they have a generous spirit? We want people in our lives to have generous spirits, or do they make you feel bad because you're asking to, or you're not even asking, it's just something that you need, but they make you feel bad for being in their lives and having a need? These are things that we have to watch for, and it takes time. You can't just see this the first 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 dates, not even in the 90 days all the time. Demi's going to talk about some time frames, and it's hard to see these things if you're rushing. How do they speak about their past relationships? How are they talking about people that they went out with?
I had a story with that, right? I remember going on a date, and literally for 2 hours, he talked about his ex-wife.
Not good. Not good. Talking about your ex is, remember I said wanting to know if that person is emotionally stable and emotionally healthy. A lot of times, if you're still talking about that ex, when I talk about having that readiness checklist, that's one of the things that's on my readiness checklist. You're not ready to start a new relationship if you're still talking for whatever reason about an ex and how they end and why did it end and what they did, he or she did. You're not ready to move on into a relationship. And we owe it to ourselves, divorcees, empty nesters, second time arounders, widowers. We owe it to ourselves to make sure that you've done the work. You're here, you've done the work to be the best, show up your best. You want to make sure you get the person that's done the work and showing up also at their best. A few more things and we're done. How do you, or not we're done, but we're going to go back to Demi for something. How do they treat people that they can't gain anything from? Because sometimes, if you're watching, again, dating is data. And this is why people get unnerved when we say you got to look and listen and investigate and interview. People get nervous when we say that, Demi. They're like, what does that mean? Why you got to do that? But you do, because people are Dr. Jekyll one way and Mr. Hyde another. So you're watching for these details. These are not small details. These are major things. These are character flaw indications. And we want to make sure that we are checking the list and marking the boxes for character flaw indications, because they don't change and they don't go away. And usually, like one time, Demi and I said, they actually get worse because you're seeing the person on their supposedly best behavior.
Right? We talked about that. When you meet someone for the first time, when you're going to an interview, when you're doing something for the first time, you're on your absolute best behavior. Yes. So if the best behavior is that, then what are they when they really get relaxed and get to know you? And you talked about the list. We talked about it in the beginning. I said, get your pen, get your paper, get your tablets ready, because until you have this information ingrained, you do want it on paper. You want to be able to go back to it and say, let me just make sure I didn't miss anything, because sometimes we can, because we're looking at all of our expectations that make our ego feel good, right? Make our ego feel good. Yeah. And we forget what the standards are. We forget what our non-negotiables are.
Yes. Yeah. So you have to be clear. Ask yourself, what am I looking for now? What is it that how do I want the person who I'm going to be with to handle conflicts? We got to start asking ourselves those hard questions. What does healthy relationships really look like to me? Because I was really, really astonished before we talked about this before we started the podcast, how many people don't really know what a healthy relationship looks like. They have not even witnessed it, and many have not been in it. So understanding, taking that time and understanding what a healthy relationship actually looks like. So if it put in the chat, what's a healthy relationship looks like to you? What does it look like to you? So Demi, what about values of others? You know how people put other people's values on you.
And I want to say, some people may ask, what do we mean by that? And so oftentimes we assume that that individual has the same values that we do, i.e., If I'm loyal, then they're loyal. If I'm
Where my no button? No. N-O.
you just can't. If I'm serious, then they are. If I'm honest, then they are. Because feelings really don't equal facts, and
That's right.
chemistry doesn't equal character.
That's right.
It really doesn't. And the projection creates a fantasy,
Mm-hmm.
and observation creates clarity.
That's right. That's right. Yep. Absolutely. You have to observe, and
Mhm.
and then you have to be true to you, and you have to be true to what you see. We talked one time, another podcast, Demi, about actually seeing it, and then you want to give them what was it we talked about? Is it just do we just need to give them another chance? Maybe they're just having a bad day. Sometimes we just overlook stuff, and we talk to men and women, but y'all know my niche is women, and women particularly are worse at it. And we want to, because we're giving and we loving, and we want to, sometimes we're fixers and we want to give them. But when we're talking about dating differently, this is the new playbook. No more giving all these chances. The new playbook is you see it, you call it. If it's a thing, if it's a duck, it's quacking, you quack right on the way.
I love that. And I hope people really understood which is what I said about it. Just because I'm a loyal person doesn't mean they aren't. If you haven't had the conversation about exclusivity, even though the person seems to be showing up, they show up with flowers, they show up with small gifts, you have invitations to go places, she's complimenting you constantly, things that maybe you just haven't experienced before. I am saying you cannot assume because you are loyal.
That's right.
Loyal.
That's right.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
And so I want to say, because we're talking about, we have a series, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't see the first one, you want to go back and check it out, because dating truly is discovery, not destiny. You gotta slow down long enough to see who someone really is. And I know we said that a couple of times. And you're not chasing the moment. You are chasing a pattern.
Right.
And I always say, come a little closer so I can say that again. You're not chasing a moment. You are really chasing a pattern, and you're learning that. Yeah. So again, oh my goodness, he bought me flowers. She gives me lots of compliments. She holds my hand. We're not doing that.
And it takes time to see a pattern. It takes time to see a pattern. So the whole thing about not locking in so fast, because remember, we started this series not dating from the old playbook, because the old playbook, you figure I'm dating you, you dating me, I'm not seeing nobody else, you're not seeing anybody else, we're going to date to see if we are the one.
Right.
But just because you're looking for the one doesn't mean everybody that you meet and go out with is the one. And you have to pull back. You have to listen. You have to vet, and you have to stop locking in so fast. I remember talking to a client once, and she had only been dating this person for 3 months. In 3 months, you're still gathering information. There's still a lot of data that has to be collected in 3 months. And so when something came up and it was very obvious that this was a really bad person and it came from a really reputable source. And her thing to me was, but we're already locked in. It's been 3 months. That person still's a stranger to you. You ain't locked in 3 months. All right. So stop locking in before you log the data. Stop locking in before you log the data.
And we do have a question about what's chasing a pattern mean. And so I gave an example of one of them. Really, we are looking for people to be consistently consistent. That's the short answer.
Yes, yeah.
Consistently consistent. So when we go back to our standards. And we go back to the things that we are looking for in an individual. And they are all of those things. They are consistently communicating, right? They are emotionally available. They are showing themselves. They're showing up.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing that regularly. That's chasing the pattern.
Yes.
That's what I want.
Yes.
Because often, you know, I'll go back. I didn't want to say it because so many of us, we say we want all of these standards, right? But you said it. The person has, I'm saying he, because I'm a lady, he has to be 6'4" or
Right.
6'2", right? But I'm 5'7.5". If I met someone that was 5'7.5", and they were consistently consistent
And showing up
and
and true to their word and being intentional and choosing you and showing clarity.
that's sexy as hell.
Yes,
So,
yes.
so yeah.
6 feet and not calling.
So, you know, I may like one thing, or my expectation would be like, you know, I'm looking for someone who's over 6 feet, but what I'm really looking for are some of those individual that meets those standards. And I'm excited about that and excited about having it.
Absolutely.
And so,
and it's deserving. It's deserving. I want to say the question that someone wrote in, Demi, was, why do I feel so guilty when I do exercise my standards? So I wanted to touch on that. So if you have not had healthy standards, it's really hard to execute them because you are uncomfortable. But comfortability comes with growth. Uncomfortability comes with growth. If you are comfortable, you're not growing. And so if it feels uncomfortable, particularly if you're someone who is always trying to make sure the other person is being taken care of, you're a people pleaser maybe, or you're someone that's put everybody else's priorities above yours. You have not been pro-self. I always talk about being pro-self. When you are exercising it, it does feel uncomfortable and it makes you feel guilty because you feel like I'm not giving like I used to. But when you have standards and when you're sticking to your healthy standards and boundaries, it filters out people who are not there for the right reason. And you don't have to feel guilty. You need to be proud and empowered. And as you do it a little bit longer, you really feel empowered. I talk about the time when I met the pilot on the airplane and I said, no, my standards is I'm not driving out to the airport this late at night. If you want to see me, you'll have to see me when there's time. I felt so good. I felt so empowered. And like I said, I didn't talk to him anymore, but I felt empowered.
Yeah. And if you've missed any part of this series, so stop dating from the old playbook and start dating differently, go back. You can see that on our Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. But I'm excited about our next week's, because it's really about movement. It's about courage. It's about exposure. Let's get back in the game. From preparation to participation. That's what we're going to talk about next week. And I'm excited about that because you know that's mine. Let's go. Let's get back in the game.
All right.
We want to thank you all for joining us today. We're so excited about it. We're excited about what we're talking about. We really are just here to help you through this process. We both want you to date with clarity, move with intention, and choose with confidence.
Absolutely. All right. Again, thank you for being here. I'm Dr. Conti, and please follow Demi and I on all of our social media pages. Please subscribe to our social media pages and platforms. And we do have a Dating Differently podcast page. So thank you. Deborah Bell said great conversation. We greatly appreciate that. Come back, share, let everybody know this is what's going on every Wednesday. Remember, we do have a new time, and it's every Wednesday at 7:30. So make sure that you go ahead and join us. Remember to share this. You deserve love that brings you peace, clarity, and joy.
See you next week.